Yikes, that did not age well. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 awful truths about movies we love. For this list, we're looking at some of the most problematic things about some of our favorite movies. Number 10. The Protagonist, American Beauty. When it was released, American Beauty was a critical darling and essentially swept at the Academy Awards, taking home Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Cinematography.
Nice suit. You're looking good, Mr. Burnham. Last time I saw you, you looked kind of wound up.
But although we're supposed to sympathize with protagonist Lester Burnham, it's clear with a little perspective that he is simply a middle-aged man preying on a teenage girl. In other words, he's a creep.
Good to meet you. You were also good tonight. Very precise.
Actor Kevin Spacey's alleged real-life behavior, which apparently involved multiple instances of sexual misconduct, certainly doesn't make it any easier to go back and watch this performance, which is now almost impossible to view without cringing.
You like muscles?
I should probably go see what Jean's up to.
Number 9. There are inappropriate caricatures. Dumbo. It's hard to imagine anything controversial taking place in one of our beloved childhood favorite films, but if you pay attention, the handling of race in Dumbo is seriously troubling.
What's all the ruckus? Come on, step aside, brother.
The most prominent Crow character in the film, who was created as an African-American stereotype, was originally named Jim Crow before his name was changed to Dandy Crow several years after the movie's initial release.
Hey there, son. Maybe you all flew up.
Even Disney must have realized there was no fixing these racist characters because in the 2019 live-action version, they were entirely missing from the narrative. It was probably for the best.
We done seen the light. You boys is okay.
Number 8. Elle relies on stereotypes. Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde is nothing short of a cinematic treasure, but there's one particular storyline that probably wouldn't sit well with some modern viewers. In the film, Elle establishes a discrepancy in the court case because she establishes that Enrique the pool boy is gay.
He's gay! Enrique is gay!
This throws off the facts of the case because the woman she's defending was allegedly sleeping with him. How does she know this, though? Because he comments on her shoes and notes the designer who made them.
Don't stomp your little last season Prada shoes at me, honey.
In the end, Elle is right about Enrique's sexuality, but she makes her discovery based on gay stereotypes rather than on, actual research.
Chuck is just a friend.
Oh, okay. You bitch!
Number 7. Low-key sexism. Love Actually. Just because we watch something every Christmas doesn't mean we shouldn't be a little bit critical of it. Classic holiday rom-com Love Actually features many charming intertwining storylines, but upon closer inspection, it doesn't exactly hold up to modern views of how female characters should be treated in movies.
It's great scotch.
First, there's the infamous sign scene, where a guy is seen as a charming romantic for telling his best friend's wife he's in love with her. Then there's the fact that so many of the storylines hinge on men falling in love with women they barely know. This includes not one, but 2 bosses having relationships with their employees. We'd like a modern progressive reboot, please.
See you later.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Number 6. The main character is a bully, Peter Rabbit. If you loved Beatrix Potter's charming world of woodland creatures as a child, you might want to skip watching the 2018 adaptation of Peter Rabbit. The wholesome vibe of Potter's stories is entirely scrapped in favor of portraying the character as nothing short of despicable and possibly a psychopath.
He's got to go. He's got to go.
His face was so classic.
One critic, Mark Kermode, even went as far as saying, quote, "If you've read the books, you will be appalled." The most egregious scene takes place when Peter attacks Thomas McGregor with blackberries, which he is severely allergic to, and causes him to go into anaphylactic shock.
That should do it.
Oh! This guy's like some kind of sorcerer.
Number 5. Jeremy is a jerk. Wedding Crashers. When Wedding Crashers hit theaters in 2005, it was both a critical and commercial hit, and was even credited with bringing new life to this specific subgenre of comedy.
Let's make a memory.
At the time, John and Jeremy's antics seemed like they were all in good fun, but in reality, they both got by with lying to women, and in Jeremy's case especially, ditching them as soon as anything got even remotely serious.
What do you mean what's wrong with? What's wrong with you?
No, what's wrong with you?
No, what's wrong with you?
While this character trope was a popular one in the mid-aughts, it certainly isn't viewed favorably now. The treatment of gay characters in the film is a whole different can of worms, but let's just say that definitely hasn't aged well either.
He's a homo.
Number 4. It has a white savior complex. Avatar. A trope that is prominent in many Hollywood films is the white savior complex.
Something we gotta do. You're not gonna like it.
Here's how it works. A primitive native society is under some sort of siege and needs the help of an outside character to save them, being unable to handle their problem themselves.
I am a Matakaya. I am one of you. And I have the right to speak.
Of course, the hero just so happens to be white. Avatar is definitely guilty of this, and has also been criticized for the similarity it bears to other films like Dances with Wolves. Avatar is one of the highest-grossing movies of all time, so clearly cinemagoers weren't too bothered by this plot point, but it is an awful truth that has been discussed in the years since its release.
You will never be one of the people!
Number 3. It employs damaging stereotyping. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's easy to give a lot of classic movies a pass when it comes to issues of racism or sexism because they were made at a different time, right? But when Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out in 1984, it received strong criticism for the portrayals of both the Chinese and Indian people in the film. Like Avatar, which was released decades later, Temple of Doom was accused of using their white hero to save the people of India, and also for showing the Chinese as being villainous.
Don't be sad, Dr. Jones. You will soon be joining.
The movie was even banned for a time in India because of the racist depictions of life in the country, including showing characters eating monkey brains and baby snakes. Number 2. There's a discriminatory plot twist. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. With the gift of modern perspective, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which so many people loved when it was released, has become nearly unwatchable. Near the end of the film, the titular character kisses the woman he knows as Lois Einhorn, but is later disgusted when he discovers that she's actually transgender.
Oh my God! Einhorn is a man!
His over-the-top reaction shows how horrified he is, and he goes on to publicly out her in front of a large group of people, even trying to show off her genitals to prove his point.
That's why Roger Podacter is dead! He found Captain Winky!
This treatment of a trans character is truly appalling, and shows just how unaware we were as a society not long ago. And that's without even mentioning the harmful trope of trans people being deceptive about their gender. Before we unveil our top pick, here are some not-so-honorable mentions. The use of the manic pixie dream girl trope. Garden State. Natalie Portman's character is pure male fantasy.
So, I gotta go bury this hamster before the dogs eat him? Wanna help?
Noah's unacceptable behavior. The Notebook. Noah should have realized that no means no.
No, I want to!
You want it.
Yes!
You want it. Say it.
I want to go out with you!
Say it again.
I want to go out with you!
Questions of consent. Grease. You shouldn't have to ask if she put up a fight.
Tell me more, tell me more. Did she put up a fight?
Sexism and body shaming. Miscongeniality. The film features jokes about eating disorders.
We can't have pizza and beer.
Do you know how many calories you're talking about?
It's light beer, and she's gonna throw it up anyway.
Brownface. West Side Story. White actors playing Puerto Rican characters.
Baited.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Mickey Rooney plays an Asian man. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Throughout the history of film, there have been instances of actors playing races outside of their own, sometimes using offensive makeup and stereotyped performances. But one of the most derogatory examples in a generally beloved film has to be Mickey Rooney's portrayal of Iwai Yunioshi in Yellowface.
You cannot go on or keep ringing my bell! You disturb me!
Rooney wore false teeth and darkened his skin for the role, and acted out some of the most heinous caricatures of Japanese people we can imagine.
This time I'm warning you! I am definitely this time going to call in the police!
Of course, in the years that have followed, those involved with the film have regretted their decision, with producer Richard Shepard clearly saying he wished he could take it back. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.